go to deliver food to make sure someone got their lunch.
Don't step on my platform, all right?
No, I want this. Right. I'm the guy who feeds you. Yeah, I know.
When I'm tally, this big shake, you know?
Sliding through the chicane, now into the arc. Also, no snowballs by the track, please. We don't throw snowballs or pick up big chunks of snow. Crossing the finish line. Forerunner number 3, stand by. bar, third quarter. Bobsleigh then. 4 heats. Runners 1 and 2. Tomorrow the runs 3 and 4 to determine who will be your IBSF, International Bobsled Skeleton Federation World Championship. 2 bobsleigh champions. 3. It's going to be fun. The start order was selected based on the season overall standings. We got 20 sleds in the field. Then they'll be reverse ordered by race. So the leaders after run 1 will be the last sleds for run number 2. The track is 1,450 meters in length, which is well over 3,500 feet. And you got 20 corners.
Welcome back to our coverage of the IBSF Bobsleigh World Championships in the second weekend of action here in Lake Placid in the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York. Martin Haven and Riley Tichak ready for the action. Riley fresh off the track after this morning's 4-man. What was the track like this afternoon? How quick is it feeling?
This is definitely not the Lake Placid that I know. It is warm. It's about 50 degrees Celsius. The track is going to drastically slow down between these runners. Right now, it still felt pretty fast and grippy, but it's slowing down drastically.
All right, start records set by Alana Myers-Taylor back in November 2017 with Lauren Gibbs behind her, who then went on to push her in the Olympics. And it's going to be a tough track, isn't it? Always is. Very busy. Lots going on.
It is. And what we're seeing here is through the men's race, we did see some crashes, unfortunately, in the 4-man. This is still a tough track. Even though it's warm out, there's a lot of technical little pieces here that can get people in trouble, especially when we're talking about losing time. Now, what I will say for the women's side, compared to the monos, we shouldn't see as much squirreliness. There is more weight in the sled now. You add your teammate, so that should be seeing a little bit more people driving a little bit straighter, but doesn't mean here in the chicane that you're not going to lose speed if you don't have bunk taps.
Yeah, very easy to give it away. We saw that in the men's race as well. Jamie Grewal-Poser and Asia Evans with the track record. That was set back in 2016 in December. So that will have been very cold, hard, fast ice. We're probably not going to get into the 55s today.
No.
In fact, we were struggling to get to the 56s even in training. So we have 20 sleds in our field, including 3 brand new World Championship debutants. And yeah, the guys were just down there polishing runners at lunchtime in shorts only. So, you know, it's a warmer day. I mean, throwback to a weekend ago, you know, last weekend it was bitter, biting wind, really desperately cold temperatures. But unfortunately, spring is possibly not just around the corner. It might even be arriving. Although, ironically, next week, once we've left, it'll cool down again. But it is what it is. And our athletes will have to try and make the best of it. 2 heats today, 2 heats scheduled for tomorrow afternoon as well. We'll just have to hope that the weather is kind enough to us that we will get those in. So we have plenty of potential candidates. We have our Olympic champion Lara Nolte, world champions Kim Kilicki, Lisa Buchwitz, double world champion Alana Myers-Taylor, 4-time world champion Kaylee Humphreys. If that's not enough to wet your whistle, as I said, 3 brand new nations. There is Lin from Chinese Taipei. You just saw Agnese Campiol from Thailand, and Kim Yuran, although she has been a Winter Olympian, has never actually started a World Championship, bizarrely, so she is here for Korea. Yeah, plenty of attention for the North American sliders. Already mentioned Alana and Kaylee. And, of course, our monobob world champion, Keisha Love, goes in the race as well. 3 Canadian sleds. We've got a couple of entertaining Europeans with Swiss Melanie Hasler, Katy Bile, who was 3rd after the first day in the mono. Brianna Walker back, feeling a little less under the weather. Lots to conjure with. But our World Cup champion goes first off, our Olympic champion, Lara Nolte, with Deborah Levy behind her. This is the duo that took gold in Beijing in 2022. They start our Women's World Championships here in 2025. Martin Haven and Riley Tichak watching the action at a 5:38 start.
Great start for the ladies. This is a team to watch right here. Not only Olympic champions, but as you said, world champions. They are really strong at the start, leading the sled off. They're going to have the freshest, nicest eyes. I think we're going to see really, really good downtime by these girls.
Well, she struggled to claim that gold since the Olympics in the women's bob. She's a double monobob world champion in 23 and 24. So let's see how clean and tidy she can be, because this is not a track where you're going to gain much, but it's a track where you can easily give away a lot. Nice line through the chicane, little tap down into 17.
Really clean run to start us off here. This is a lot of what you want to see from the sleds going forward. These are good lines. She's putting it all together. Really solid run number 1, 56.43. I can probably guarantee you that's going to be in the top half of our sliders today. Good time, but not even close to that record.
Yep, 55.81, so 6/10 away. Hamalaura. Okay, fair enough.
She does have her family here, traveled all the way from Germany. I know they're so happy they were here for the mono to see her claim silver and here again today.
Yeah, just saw Mum and Dad down at the bottom. And, yeah, it was a good battle with Keisha Love, but Keisha with a little bit more track experience. Laura's only raced here a couple of times, so...
Yeah, good thumbs up. And, you know, she is so happy, that big hug there. Her teammate was injured for a little bit with a really bad knee injury, so Laura was not competing with her in the past, but this year they've been a solid duo.
Next up, Kim Kilicki and Leonie Fiebig. And talk about solid duos. This pair have had such a massive record. They had a string going of 16 consecutive podium finishes before they missed out on one. And they're now, I think, up again to 9 or 10 consecutive in women's bob. 5th worlds for Kim Kilicki, her 3rd as a driver. And Leonie Fiebig from Cologne, the big powerhouse behind that gives her the start she needs to compete. 5:45.
I'm a little bit surprised by that. I think we'll see them probably increase that a little bit over time. But really nice and quiet 1, 2, and 3 here.
With the weather it is, everybody knows, I think, coming into these races, that your first heat had better be an absolute blaster. Otherwise, you're going to be on the back foot, and track conditions may not help you catch up.
The hard part, too, is a lot of these women, we had 2 days of training. They were training at an 8 a.m. session 2 days ago. Majority of these athletes took yesterday off to prepare and get ready for the races. So they haven't seen the slowed down ice. It's a little bit more grippy. You have a little bit more control, but it's still slick. Now, because of that, as it continues to get warmer, more sleds go down, you're going to see it constantly slow down. But tight race here at the bottom here between the two Germans. 300ths of a second separate Nolte and Kalicki. Wow.
That's what Kim Kalicki needed. She was drifting away to 1100s back, but she started picking up speed. She had a good highway, a good labyrinth and chicane, and that's where she made that gain. She was actually more than 300s behind at the start, so Bobsleigh Mass said she should be well over a 10th adrift.
And we look at her speed was just slightly faster, but it is that deficit in the start. That's what held Laura over Kalicki.
All right, 300s in it. That is as good as a dead heat. Half a mistake anywhere will cost you that. There's Kim. Well, there's been an awful lot of athletes feeling very under the weather. We had already Jakob Mandelbauer pull out of the men's race because he just wasn't fit to get out of bed. Next up, Kira Lipperheider behind Lisa Buchwitz. So Buchwitz, the reigning world champion, claimed the title in Winterberg last year.
All 3 of these German teams are known for their starts. These are 3 solid teams. Let's see what she does. Tied 3:38 with their teammates. Great getaway for these girls.
Yeah, really good start for Buchwitz and Lipperheider.
Little tap there out of 2. And that's pretty normal, but a little bit of skid coming out there. That is going to, yep, their 3rd fastest speed. That's what you're going to see from that.
Well, Lisa again has only been driving since the 2022 games, so very inexperienced here in Lake Placid. Came last year for the World Cup race in March, and this year her 2nd time in Lake Placid.
But she loves driving. I was talking to her earlier. She said, I'm going to have fun, a massive smile on her face. She did say it is very hot, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Last week it was wear everything you've got for Monobob week. This week it is sun's out, guns out. She's
dropping positions here across the finish line. She will be in 3rd, but by how much? 2/10.
All right, well, it's a little bit like Adam Amour in the men's race. 2/10 back is a big window of opportunity for the next 2 or 3 sleds potentially. And maybe the next 3 or 4, because we've got Alana Myers-Taylor and Kaylee Humphries coming up. And then 9th off, Keisha Love.
Here you can see through the chicane, she's going that sideways. Again, that's like a hockey stop. That's where she lost at least a 10th. Coming there, yep, her runners are facing the wrong way. They're faced sideways into the wall. So then you have to hit the wall. Oh, and then did you see it popped up a little bit?
Yeah.
German Airlines a little bit on that one, but big smile on her face. I definitely think she's going to pay more attention to that and try to clean that up next run.
Yeah, she will do. She does enjoy her sport a lot. Next up, Melanie Hasler missed last week's monobob because she was sick as a dog. Caught up with her in training yesterday. Said, you okay to come close? Yeah, no, I'm fine now. Muswama Kambundi in her 1st World Championships. So Mel, this is her only race in this fortnight. In fact, 3 weeks she's been here. So really looking forward to this. Muswama just resettling her foot on the block there. Didn't slip when she actually got to push, but you saw her spikes sliding off as she was getting into the set position.
5:55.
Okay, a 10th behind Kim Kalicki and Leonie Fiebig.
You can outdrive your position. Oftentimes, Melanie is a very good driver. Even though she didn't do the monobob, she did have initial training here the week prior, so she isn't unfamiliar with this track. I know she's happy to be back and feeling much better, what she told me.
3rd best speed, so she's up on speed compared to Lisa Buchwitz. Now, can she haul in the German? Lisa is 2/10 back at the line. Kalicki already 2600s back.
She's carrying great speed at this track. That's because she had a very clean and quiet start, but dropping back still a little bit. Can she shoot the chicane? Not too bad.
At 17, little flick in and out of 18.
Smooth transition, 18-19 though. Now coming in the uphill portion of the track, going to cross the finish line. How far back will she be? About half a second.
Yeah. All right, well, we're already seeing big gaps behind our leader. And in fact, the gap to Lisa Buchwitz in 3rd is 3,300, a full 1/3 of a second.
And as you're seeing here, I was struggling this too. We're not even making it up all the way on the outrun, Martin. In Lake Placid, normally that brakeman position is ripping those brakes, slowing you down from going so fast. That's why this track is slowing down a lot. As you can see, that pushed her a little bit there, and here in the chicane, she had that double hit. You can hardly see it a little bit, but there's 2 little out grooves. That's not the end of the world because she didn't go sideways. It will kill a little bit of speed, but not too much. Happy smile from Melanie. I know she's so happy she's able to compete this week.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. And next up, Katie Bile. Now, she was a bit of a sensation in the monobob race, lay in the bronze medal position overnight, ended up in 6th place. Christiania Williams is her brakewoman, a Jamaican Olympic sprinter and medalist. What's she doing on the back of an Austrian sled? Well, they train in the same gym in Austria during the summer. That's how they met each other.
5:44, pretty good. 3rd fastest start. They're going to really like that. Katie Bile did so good in the mono in her pushing, and now she has a really fast teammate behind her. I mean, who wouldn't want an Olympic track medalist behind you?
No. Yeah, 600s off the lead at the start, out to 1400s. She won't have quite the same equipment as the Germans. She's in a BTC sled built in Latvia. That's the default customer sled. Top 4 speed at the moment, though, ahead of Melanie Hassler of Switzerland.
Run looks really nice. She was talking to me earlier. She's really glad that they changed the start time of the races because her cat George can now watch, she said.
Okay, well, you know, that's why they did it, obviously.
Not her family.
Only the 5th best speed, so she's just dropped behind Lisa Buchwitz.
Nice lines, though.
Yeah. Still going to be the closest challenger to the Germans at the line by 800ths ahead of Mel Hassler, 56.88.
Pretty good run overall for Katie. I think she'll be pretty happy with that. I didn't really see too many mistakes. Again, she had a really good feel for this track in mono. Obviously, the worst thing in the world as a pilot is dropping back spots, starting really strong and day 2 dropping back. But she has a really good rhythm and feel for this track.
Well, both Katie Bile and Melly Hassler have had best results of 4th place in World Championships. Mel 2 years ago in St. Moritz, Katie Bile in Winterberg last season. I beg your pardon, in the previous Winterberg in 2015.
Great start here. As you'll see throughout the race, the athletes start a lot of different ways. Some athletes start on the push bar. Katie's one of those athletes that runs into the bar. It's all about what makes you comfortable.
Yeah, Sink wasn't quite right on the hit, though. She hit the bar before the sled started moving. In fact, she was 4th in Whistler, not in Winterberg. Next up, Alana Myers-Taylor. Alana's 12th World Championships since making her debut as a driver in Altenburg 2008. Lolo Jones on the back handles. Lolo already a women's bobsleigh world champion as a brakewoman. And Alana with 2 gold, 2 silver and 2 bronze. 5:49, they're in the frame.
5th best start. Lolo is another Olympic track athlete. So we are seeing a lot of sprinters become bobsled athletes and really help our pilots push these sleds and push them fast.
Lolo giving away probably 20 years to some of the athletes that are on the back handles of other sleds, certainly at least a decade.
But don't let it fool you, she can push. Great run by Lana, #1 fastest speed right now. She's sitting in 4th, that's because of her start, but I think she can climb up a little bit with this run. Little high out of 12, which causes a big hit out of 13. That's gonna cost her a little bit of speed.
1100s back at the start, they're only 1700s back now. 5th best speed, she can still find more in the heart. She does know how to drive this track.
It's going to be close crossing the finish line, maybe within 2/10 for Alana. Let's see what they can pull it out to.
2500 back at the last sprint, 1/3 of a second back. Okay, so 3300s back, only 1300s away from a medal. That is just a heartbeat on this track. 56.76. Wasn't the tidiest run that she would have liked to put down as a first marker, but it gets her in the mix.
Overall, not too bad for the USA. Here's that critical mistake on 12. She's really, really high, which causes her to fall out of that. There was no pressure to hold her on. That brings her late into 13, and that is what dropped her from the #1 speed to the 5th speed. But knowing Alana, she knows this track. She won't make that mistake again. Yep, and there's Scheimer's reaction when it happened.
Yeah.
Great job, though, Alana. Great job, ladies. Lolo, Alana, get back. Figure it out. You got this heat, too.
Yeah, getting into it at the starts. And so, too, will Kaylee Humphries be her 12th World Championships as well, with Emily Renner behind her.
This is another really powerful duo. This is Kaylee's event. Two-woman is Kaylee's event, especially coming back after pregnancy. She knew in mono she was going to struggle at the start, but she's got a great brakeman of Emily Renna behind her, and they should maybe put something good together here.
This is actually Kaylee's third Worlds in Lake Placid alone. She was 9th in 2002, gold medalist in the last Worlds here back in 2012.
5:53 start for these girls. That puts them in the 6th place, which is where we see them kind of there. Kaylee, though, is a phenomenal driver. One of the best to do it, has a really good feel for the track. So let's see if she can move up a couple spots with this run. Really nice line, 7 to 8 to 9. 5th fastest speed. The gap is shrinking. We knew that was going to happen with Kaylee's driving ability. It's just how much.
And how much speed can you find in the track as it gradually gets warmer and softer? Top 5 speed.
It's that 17-18 transition. Really nice job by Kaylee. She is now in 6th. Can she hold that position across the finish line?
Oh,
5th.
tied with Katie Bile to the 100th of a second. I wondered if she was going to get to Bile. 56.88. But the fastest starts have been 5:38. And Kaylee, as you said, coming back from having her baby Alden in July last year, a 5:53 getaway.
Yeah, we see a thumbs down for her, and she's literally gets out of the sled and does another mine run. Up, and you can see there from Emily, she picked up the sled just a little bit. There's so much power the brakeman has.
And there was no sink at all. Emily went on the 3rd tap of the handle. Kaylee didn't.
So timing's everything. What people don't realize is the pilot is faced forward. You cannot see your teammate. So we do a lot of synchronizations, claps together to make sure our timing's right. But when you're on the line and there's noise and it's everything, you have to rely on that. And sometimes you just don't hit the sled at the same time.
Next up, Melissa Lott-Holtz of Canada with Leah Walkenden behind her. These two slide together so often. 6 Worlds for Melissa, 4 of them as a brakewoman. This is her 2nd as a driver. 5:58 getaway.
Melissa was one of those athletes that was a driver that has now, or was a push athlete now in the driver's seat. She knows this track well. She slid here a lot being a North American.
Yeah, Kaylee, Alana, so many of them. Lisa Buchwitz, of course, came from the back to the front of the sled.
Pretty good lines here that we're seeing so far from Melissa. It's just the start. It's hard when you have the 8th fastest start, but 4th fastest speed right now.
Well, that shows that there is still speed in the track if you can keep the lines nice,
really nice
and clean.
lines.
The softer the ice, I guess, the more sideways you get, the more it slows you down. Best speed into the chicane, but a big skid.
That will cost her, but let's see how much. Half a second behind now.
Yeah, she went from 48 to 58 hundredths back, so that cost her a couple of tenths. Yeah, 68 to the line, 57.11.
Overall, really great run up until that chicane. She was having the best speed. She kept it really smooth. It looked really fluid, especially 12-13. That transition for her was money. But going sideways in the chicane is like putting a little bit of brakes on your sled.
Shows you how much this track punishes you if you get it wrong.
And here you can see that here. It goes and it goes, and as a pilot, you're trying to be like, no, 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 and minimize it as much as possible.
Try and breathe it back in.
And the chicane is uphill and then downhill again. So anytime you're going uphill, it's so critical for speed.
Yeah, you pop up over the brow there as they come into the shop. Next up, Keisha Love, our monobob world champion. She's got Jasmine Jones behind her. Jazz, another very experienced world championship push athlete. And for Keisha, 2nd world champs as a driver. She took bronze in the Worlds in St. Moritz in 2023, pushing Kaylee Humphries. That's how new she is to the front seat.
This is a really, really strong combo we're going to see right here. They're going to go for that #1 start spot. Keisha and Jazz are really, really strong together. Big home field cheering them on.
Yeah.
Let's see what they can push. I know they're going to want to go for that 5:38 or lower.
But you hear how quiet it is at the snap. 5:39. That's an excellent getaway. 100th off the fastest.
Which means this is going to be a race. If you're starting the exact same, it's about who really can drive the best.
Well, she's as recent to driving as Lisa Buchwitz, less experienced than Nolta and Kalicki, the top 2, but she knows this track better than them. Only the 8th best speed.
We should see her reel that in now. 9th best speed, but only a 10th behind our leaders.
So at the moment she is behind Nolta and Kalicki on the splits. She's behind Lisa Butlitz, slipping adrift of Alana Myers-Taylor as well. Not finding the speed. I wonder what runner choice they've got on the sled. Maybe that's not ideal for these weather conditions.
Holding on to that 5th position. Let's see if she can hold that crossing this finish line.
She should be ahead.
She does.
She is, yeah. 600s ahead of the tie, Katie Bile and Kaylee Humphries.
And 600s behind her teammate, Alana Myers-Taylor, putting her into 5th place.
Well, there you go. So the 3 American sleds covered by 1200s. Alana 600s ahead of Keisha. Keisha 600s ahead of Kaylee.
So you see here in corner 12, she comes off a little bit too early, which hits her a little bit there. That didn't kill her speed too much. Here in chicane, she's coming off, and it was one bunk, but she held it back under control. Overall, pretty good run for Keisha. I know she won't be super pleased with it, but 1 number run is done. Figure it out for the next one, regroup, and get back to go. Was a really solid push time, though. Her teammate Jasmine Jones will be proud of that. She does have her mom here, all the way from Utah. She's so happy to be competing with them.
Next up is our 10th of 20 sleds. This is Andreea Grecu of Romania with Teodora Vlad. These two have competed so frequently together. 10th in the last World Championships. Best result for Andreea, 8th place in Altenburg 2021.
5:55 start. That puts them in 8th position right now, right off the block. Andreea is a great driver.
9th two-man worlds for Andreea Grecu, her 7th as a driver. She's driven in, deep breath, the 4-way team competition with bobsleigh and skeleton. She's raced mono, she's raced women's bob, and fun fact, raced in the 4-man world championships as well.
Oh.
Correct.
Yeah, you heard that right. That is very impressive. There are very few women who have driven a 4-man, and to be on that list means that you can drive. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
We're seeing a little bit of trouble here at the top for her at a run. She had a couple little skids, a little tap here and there, which is why we're not really seeing that speed look too good for this great driver. But overall, not too bad of a run. She's within the mix of Melissa Lotholtz ahead of her.
Yep, and not too far behind Lotholtz. She was kind of vying with Mel Hasler, and Melissa Lotholtz just slipped back a little in the lower part of the run, 57.26.
We are seeing the speed continuously drop just a little bit by little bit. So this order is so crucial for these women. It's based off of their IBSF World Cup ranking.
Yeah. We see now, again, anybody watching might think, oh, why don't we just start the best people last if the ice is going to slow down, and that keeps the field nice and tight. I think you might have to have an argue with the German Federation about that. I'm not sure they'd be keen, but again...
Whoa, we just saw that.
Yeah.
We're seeing athletes, if you're hitting at the end of chicane right before 17, it looks like you're airborne for a little bit, and anytime your runners are not on the ice, you are losing time.
But it reduces friction. Next up, for France, Margot Bock and Carla Seneschal, 4th World Championships for these two. Started their career together and still spend more time than not sliding together. Now, the French have their own 2-seat sled, but they tend to use Boris Van's Monaco sled, and Boris tends to use the French-coloured sled, and I'm not quite sure why. But Boris Van not racing in the 4-man today. He's unwell. So they're using the regular sled anyway. 5:63 is the 11th best start in the field.
But 8th fastest speed right now, which means Margot's driving very, very well. Really nice lines coming through Shady 2, coming out there. Ooh, little hit. A little height. Yep. Not too bad, though. Overall, tidy run for Margot. That chicane's going to hurt her a little bit. 7th fastest speed, though.
And that's why they're using the Monaco sled. It looks like it's a bit of a flyer. Right, 11th sled down, 11th on the splits.
Ducks her head. 11th at the finish. Not too far, just about a 10th off of Grecu at the bottom. She did have faster speed than Grecu, but it is that start. When you start about a 10th behind, that compiles at the bottom. They say 100th at the top is 300ths at the bottom, and at Lake Placid being a longer track, it might be closer to 4. But here, coming out of 10, Shady 2, she hits that wall, which is going to push her over a little bit. She did nicely, but it caused her to have a little bit of a late height coming down, hitting just early before 13, and coming out, not necessarily shooting the chicane, not double bunk hit, just little time she's losing here and there. So when you're within a tenth of someone ahead of you, you definitely just mess that up there.
Nothing happens in isolation on this track, does it? Everything leads to something else. The corners are so close together. We were saying in the four-man, there's just no straightaway here. It's all corner, corner, corner. So 11 sleds down. Next up, Cynthia Appiah and Skylar Sieben, new to the team this year. Skylar, a track and field athlete.
First World Championships. It's really exciting for people, their first time in Worlds. They've been training all season long to get here. 5:55 start for these ladies, putting them at 8th. But a hit out of 1, that's definitely going to cost her for speed.
And ironically, the weather outside is pretty much what she might have had in the track and field World Championships.
People were warming up with just short sleeve.
Yeah.
Cynthia does know this track pretty well. You know, she did pretty good in the monobob, got 4th place. She's very comfortable, familiar. 9th best speed. You were saying 8th earlier. She's dropping back a little bit, probably from that corner 1.
Yeah, 8th best start, but if you give away the speed early on, you're not going to find it easily.
12th fastest speed, but still maintaining that 11th position.
Trying to stay ahead of Margot Bock. Does she get to Andrea Grecu of Romania? That might just about do it. 8300s back, 500s behind Grecu.
Okay. She maintained that space, but she is going to be very frustrated when she looks back and watches her run. That mistake early on, shaking her head, straight off the get-go, you push and you build all this speed and then you just lose some of it straight away is one of the most frustrating things in the world. When you know that you're just bleeding the whole way down, and it's how fast can you cut off that bleeding.
Well, going away down into the chicane.
Pretty good chicane. She just has that one tap, which is not the worst line ever as a pilot. Sometimes having that tap pushes you nicely into 17, which sometimes is a preferred line. If you can't shoot the chicane, that's exactly what you want to do. Her bottom half looked pretty nice.
Yep. Well, 500s behind Grecu, 600s ahead of Margot Bock. And next up is Adele Nicol. Adele Nicol with Ashley Nelson making her World Championship debut on ice. A multiple world and European medalist, 4x100 specialist. She was the Commonwealth champion in 2022 in the 4x1. Adele, a Commonwealth shot put champion. Second Worlds as a driver for Adele Nicol. Mum's watching in the finish line.
5:60 start for these ladies, pretty good. We knew Adele last week was so excited to get to this event. After the monobob debacle and having different sleds and everything, she's like, wait for the 2-woman week. I think she thinks that she's going to have a much better run, and it's looking like it right now. She's definitely driving well, 6th fastest speed. This is Adele's choice of a bobsled.
Yeah, this is her favorite sled. Her own sled, in fact. They couldn't afford to ship 2 over, one for the monobob as well, but slipping out to 13th place. She had got up to 11th.
Can have some late height on 12 a little bit there. Just slowly dropping back a little bit from little small mistakes, but really good chicane, Adele. Great job, way to shoot that. The first one I think we've seen that shot that so far.
Yeah, nice run through the chicane will help her maintain speed through the heart. At a 19, climbing up through corner 20 and across the line, 57.99.
That puts her a little over half a second behind Margot. Her speed on that one just wasn't there compared to the other sliders.
Yeah, she'll be disappointed with that first run. 11th in Winterberg on her World Championship debut last year. And Ashley Nicol, the 4x100 champion behind, makes her debut.
A little bit of a tap there before 11, nothing too big, but it pushes her late. A little bit of late height. You see Adele's neck a little bit, go a little bit side to side. But then the chicane, this was money. Great job, Adele. If you can take anything, take that away. You can still keep building on it. I know she's happy to have her teammate behind her and keep building on it.
All right, next up. Daughter of a famous father, Switzerland's Deborah Annan. Her brother Tim was sliding in the 4-man earlier. She's got Mara Morel behind her, perhaps the most experienced of the Swiss break women here this weekend. Second Worlds for Deborah. She's the under-23 junior world champion. Her dad, Martin, 3 times an Olympic champion in 2- and 4-man, and a 2-time 2-man world championship medalist as well.
5:58 start for these ladies, pretty good. They're not known to be the fastest starters, but this young slider can drive. I've been so impressed watching her and how she's progressed and grown. Not have a lot of experience in Lake Placid, but driving it very, very well. And that 4th fastest speed.
where she was telling me last year Altenburg is her absolute favourite track, and this is so like Altenburg in nature. Busy, busy, busy.
She's dropping behind in the speed a little bit, but looks like a really tidy run. Really great set, or 12 to 13 there. A little bit squirrely in the chicane, but maintaining the 10th fastest speed. So she should move up a couple positions from where she started.
Yeah, hovering around the top 10. She had the 11th fastest start. She was up to 10th early on. She had a good top part of the track. And 11th place at the line. How far out of the top 10? 400s. 100th ahead of Cynthia Appia. 400s behind Andrea Grecu. So there's a big battle on for the top 10 positions.
And that's what makes this sport so fun. No matter where you are, no matter if you're in the medals or not, there are races amongst races. Being hundreds apart of someone ahead of you and behind you means you have to be at your best all the time. This chicane did hurt her compared to Adele's that we saw right before. You can see her runners turned a little bit sideways, not double bunk hit, a little bit airborne there, but you get it back on track before you enter big 17. But big smile. I think she's just really excited and happy to be here.
Yes, she is. Now, Brianna Walker, still feeling under the weather, but not half as wretched as last weekend. I think she sort of questioned whether actually she should have been racing last weekend, but she did nevertheless. Chiara Rodingius behind her. So the Aussies, I know Mum and Dad will be watching at home. I have no idea, I can't do the calculations. What time? It's probably tomorrow morning. Probably, it's probably late night, early morning. Let's see what she's got for us. We know she can drive. 5:58 getaway, same as Deborah Annan.
She can drive, and both of them were feeling under the weather. A lot of people got sick, but I think it says a lot about the resiliency of Bree Walker to still come out, regardless on monobob, and give it everything you got.
Yeah, the classic Aussie battler, never down and out. 5th place in the Worlds in Winterberg last time out.
Overall, we're already seeing her move up a little bit. 14th fastest speed, but in 12th right now. Yeah,
she was up to 9th on the splits, but too many hits in the Devil's Highway. A little bit late in the labyrinth as well.
Shoots as a chicane, second pilot to do that. Great job, Bree.
All right, she's going to try and chase down Margot Bock and Cynthia Appia. But she hasn't got the speed on board.
Ducks her at the finish line, going to be close. Moves ahead of Adele Nickel, but still behind Margot Bock, putting her in 14th as she crosses that finish line.
Yeah, Pierre Luder's not looking overjoyed with that. Half a second ahead of Adele Nickel. I think Adele is going to be towards the tail of the field after the first heat. Not where she expected to be. And Bree, well, even a top 10 by the end of the day might be a bit of a stretch.
Coming out of that corner, a lot of people will hit out of 3. Almost everybody. I saw a couple 4-mans not do it, so that's not too bad. But here, she got a pretty early entrance here, which is going to push her a little bit late. You want to have nice early height through there. And when you're looking at this transition, you almost want this to feel like one curve. In 8-9, you want it to go one to the other. And anytime it's abrupt and aggressive, that same energy is being pushed in your sled and ultimately showing you down. But big smile out of Bree Walker. I think she is going to want to have a couple better heats, though.
Georgeta Popescu of Romania with Antonia Sabu. Now, fun fact about these two, they competed against each other in the Youth Olympic Games in 2020. Antonia finished in the teens, Georgeta finished in the gold medal position. So, wow. Yeah.
This athlete has never driven 2 women on Lake Placid until 2 days ago in training. So they're at the start, they're not going to be extremely competitive, but sometimes it's about getting down and getting down Lake Placid upright.
And it's all about experience, because if she ends up going to the Olympic Games in Cortina next year, she'll have precious little experience on that track either.
And we did not see her competing in the monobob, so she did have that week off. She's learning from her teammate Greco, and overall putting some good runs together here. It's like you said, it's about learning, it's about getting something away from it, but also conquering the base of Lake Placid. Amazing chicane right there, 15th fastest speed. She might move up a spot or 2 potentially.
Yeah, decent run through the chicane. 2 seconds back already.
Oh, she had a hit going upwards. That's going to crush her.
Yeah, and a 6:08 start, not helping them either. 59 dead at the line.
Anytime that you hit going uphill, it absolutely takes all the speed out of the sled, which is why you're seeing them not come up all the way on the outrun either. After corner 18, corner 19, you can't see it through these angles, but it's completely uphill. So when you hit coming out of that corner, it takes all the speed out of the sled and really hurts you. So here, most athletes will have that first hit, but then she kind of had a second one that put her a little bit squirrely. And here in this transition, wasn't too bad, but you see her head just whip across. And then here through 19, that was kind of on the exit of that is where she hit, which is where she lost that speed coming uphill.
All right, 4 to go for Canada. Bianca Ribby and Niamh Hockey finished in 9th place in Winterberg. It's her 4th World Championships for driver Bianca. Whistler was in the team race and then raced in St. Moritz and last year in Winterberg in the women's bob.
This is a combo that has raced a lot together, is very comfortable, a little trouble getting in, but a 5:58 start, pretty good start for them. Ribby has her family here all the way from Canada. They're so excited to watch her, and Ribby knows this track. She has competed here, has won here several times in the North American Cup, has performed really well here as a Canadian athlete, can drive, was putting really good times actually on the ITP, she was telling me, and just trying to trust herself and put it all together.
Yeah, a lot of athletes having trained for mono last week and having raced in it, only did a few runs in training. But Bianca, she's got that knowledge built in of having grown up on these tracks.
Oh, that's going to hurt her a little bit here. She did not compete in the monobob. Her teammate Bouge did instead, but she does know this track. Overall, not too bad. She isn't going to be too happy with those little hits that she had, but overall crossing the finish line in 14th place. Tied with Bree Walker crossing the finish line, putting her into 14th.
All right, so she's ahead of Adele Nicol and Georgetta Popescu. And as you said, tied to the 100th with Brianna Walker.
Again, a race within a race. It's always fun. You just come down and you tied someone else, another respectable athlete. That's awesome. Coming out of 12 here into 13. Pretty good transition, actually, through the chicane. We see the brakeman tucked all the way down. A tap there. A little tap there, going to cost her some speed. When you come out of 14, it is a big drop, but it's a little bit of a blind steer on the exit, so you almost have to just time it perfectly. She messed that up just slightly, but next one, she says.
All right, 3 to go, and all World Championship rookies, although curious Kim Uran actually raced in the Olympic Games in women's bobsleigh in Pyeongchang 2018. She also was in the World Championships in Altenburg in 2021, but only in monobob.
5:78 getaway. She did actually, just in January, win a 2-woman event here in Lake Placid for the North American Cup. So she does know this track, and the Koreans have been performing really well across the men and the women here in Lake Placid.
Yeah, huge skid down into 4. That is going to rob her of what speed she had from the start.
A little bit of a rough transition there. 13th fastest speed, though. Keeping it pretty quiet and smooth. When you're watching her, she's very fluid as she drives. There's not really a whole lot of mistakes. Shot the chicane there. Entrance into 17, really nice.
Decent speed, 11th fastest. Does she get ahead of Georgetta Popescu? Does she get ahead of Adele Nicol? How close to the tie for 14th? Bree Walker and Bianca Ribby. She's 13 hundredths behind them.
So she moves ahead of Adele Nicol and Georgetta Popescu for Romania, putting her into 16th place. Just a little over a 10th between the tie for 14th behind Bianca Ribby and Bree Walker.
Yeah. That's an interesting little squabble going to occur in the second heat because they'll go in reverse order and the track conditions will be least bad for those going off who are in the tail of the field. You never know, it might even close up the lead order a bit.
She did finish better than her start. So as a pilot, anytime you can do that, that means you're driving well, that means you're putting things together. It's never a bad thing.
Okay, 2 to go. Lin Songrong of Chinese Taipei with Liano Li Che behind her.
Again, this duo was very active in the North American Cup, so they do have experience here in Lake Placid, but not as much as a lot of our other athletes.
And they're in a rented sled.
Let's see what their start time is. Coming off from luge into bobsled, trying to make that transition, knows the ice with a 5:82 getaway that puts them in 18 straight away at the start. a lot of times our athletes are using rented sleds because they live so far away, and moving and paying for the logistics to get your sleds brought over to North America is extremely expensive. So most athletes and nations will rent from somewhere else that already have sleds here.
Yeah.
It makes it a little bit tricky because you haven't driven that sled very much. A little bit of a high line out of Shady. She's going to be a little high on this exit. Ooh. Got it back online though. Let's see what she does with the chicane. Shooting the chicane, very nice.
Drove it really nicely through the chicane. This is going to put her ahead of Georgetta Popescu. How close will she be to Great Britain's Adele Nichol? Across the line, 58.45.
About half a second behind Adele.
Yeah.
It was that exit of 12 that was a little suspect that I know she won't be too pleased with. Corner 11 is a setup for corner 12. If you come off 11 early, you're going to get late height into 12. But off of 10, she had we saw early, she was high, and then she's coming off here, pushes her into 11. She didn't set up perfectly. High height of 12, yanking it down just to stay on, which causes her a big hit. But overall, great job getting it back online, staying relaxed, and then being able to come out, shoot the chicane, and putting it back together. So much of the sport of bobsled is, what is the line I want to take? And when I get off of that, how fast can I get it back on?
Yeah. Especially here. Especially here. Our final 20th sled is a pair of rookies, Agnese Campiol and Pationg Wanakot from Thailand. And again, a youth Olympian, Agnese Campiol, from 2024, and they are supported, funded, and housed even and fed by the Legacy Foundation from the 2018 Games in Pyeongchang. Pyeongchang.
And because she won silver, which was so impressive in those games. Some of the happiest athletes you will ever see. Anytime they come down, she just wants to give hugs. She's so happy to be here, and she's learning the sport. And it's so exciting when we see people from other countries come together and learn a sport of bobsled when you're from the country of Thailand.
Yeah. And we saw Agnese and Pationg both helping out with the men's crew in the four-man as well. So they've been here since dark this morning. 8 hours almost before their race.
Late high out of 12, which caused him a big hit before 13. But pretty good chicane. She's driving really, really well. She is learning, and this is awesome to see.
She's really smooth. She's not panicking, and she's not over-driving. She's taking the taps and just carrying on, trying to get back online. Across the line, 20th place, 59.95. So the first heat of 4 completed for, I'm going to say, I haven't checked, and I don't know how I would check, but the first ever Thai competitors in women's bobsleigh in the World Championships. I'm sure it was the same for the Thai men this morning as well.
So she pulled that off really hard because she thought she was in trouble out of 12. That's why she hit so hard off the wall. But really good chicane here. You saw them coming up the outrun, so excited, banging on their sled. Normally what you see when people are in first, but for them, it doesn't matter. It's not about the position. It's about driving. It's about getting down. It's about learning and having a great time while doing it.
Well, and they are in first. They're the first ever Thai team in a women's bobsleigh international race. So, at the other end of the leaderboard, the woman who has yet to claim a World Championship gold. She's had a silver and a bronze since she won her Olympic title. Lauren Alter with Olympic champion Deborah Levy behind her. She leads by not much, by very much not much at all. 0.03 of a second in front of her teammate and arch rival Kim Kilicki. They hit the big stage at the same time in the World Cup and just started winning medals immediately. So it's Lauren Alter, Deborah Levy, Kim Kilicki, Leonie Fiebig, Lisa Buchwitz and Kira Lipperheider. So Kilicki, the 23 world champion, Buchwitz, the 24 world champion, Alana Myers-Taylor, a two-time world champion, and behind her, Keisha Love, the monobob world champion. Kaylee Humphries tied for 6th. She's next up, the 4-time world champion. And there is the rest of your field. So first heat done and dusted, and if I'm to trust my timings, the second heat should be up at 14:30 local, which is 18:30 GMT, which is 45 minutes from now. Join Riley T-Jack and me, Martin Haven, for the second run of the women's bobsleigh in 45 minutes, live from Lake Placid.
We will see.
Let's go. Woo!